Hey y'all, happy Friday. Today is Friday, October 2nd, 2020. I am here with your weekend watch out in conjunction with everything that's happening with the Aries full moon. I had this feeling to pull cards and also just practice getting back into video because it's been quite some time that I've sat and, really did videos and stuff like that with extended readings. But for me, I also feel like this is therapeutic in a sense, because it allows me to talk through kind of what's going on in my life. If you have seen my most recent YouTube video that I posted, I talked a little bit about just some of the things that I have been feeling have been holding me back, or things that have just been ruminating in my mind as far as a lot of change. And I can be completely honest in saying that a lot of the change that I know is on the way still brings me a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. It's we all know that we are in the midst of a really huge shift. This is globally, this is personally, all of us are learning something brand new and having to try brand new things, and also know that the brand new things that are coming are the things that we've been praying for, the things that we've been asking for. And I thought that this would be a nice opportunity for us to look together kind of as a team to see what's going on, see kind of what this triggers in my mind, see if this resonates for any of you guys. So I'll be using a couple of different decks. I'll be using the Everyday Witch Tarot. For some reason, I just feel really comfortable pulling from this deck to read messages from. And then I have a couple of different oracle decks that I will be using in conjunction with this message, in addition. And then I also have the website labyrinthios.co with different tarot card meanings, just for additional context, clarity, flavor, or what have you, as we are going throughout this weekend. So before we go ahead and begin, I want you to just take a moment to center yourself and take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Finding just your center to be able to receive this message that I'm centering myself, to be the conduit of this message. Being grateful in this very moment on today, to be the deliverer of such, and showing gratitude for having the mental awareness and mental capacity to do this. And as I bring my higher self into the room, it's reminding me to talk about some of the things that, I have been doing even as before I prepared to record this. So, and at the very bottom is the Chariot. And whenever the Chariot kind of comes up for me in a tarot deck I haven't even shuffled, I haven't even done anything. So this is at the bottom of the deck. And to me, whenever I see the Chariot, it's kind of this symbol of change, this symbol of okay, which direction am I going to go? And I have a choice to decide how I want to feel. And before I did this, I wanted to center myself. So I did a list of things that I'm working on releasing under this Aries full moon. A couple of things that I remember writing. I like to sometimes take pictures of the things that I set as intentions or the things that I release. But when it comes to certain release ceremonies or what have you, I like to just let it go into the universe and be bitch, you're not thinking about it anymore, so there's no reason for you to have this. But I know that I was centered a lot around feeling anxiety for all the new things to come, and feeling my attention and my focus is being pulled in so many different directions. So I just wanted to write some things out that I knew were at the forefront of my mind, such as this trip I'm getting ready to take out of town. I'm getting ready to head back to Maryland for a couple of days to spend some, I don't even know, it could be a week, could be a couple weeks at this point, but I'm getting out of New York to go back to what I like to call the scene of the crime. The scene of the crime being last year. I had a really just traumatic situation that happened in travel on the way back from Maryland to New York. I don't want to rehash it, but it's something that has been on my spirit, and part of the reason why I have been a little slow or a little apprehensive to make this move, mainly because I'm am I over what happened? Am I ready to just release all of that pressure and release all of those feelings that I had towards myself at that time? So this was June of last year. I'm not in the same place anymore, and I'm not practicing the same things anymore that I was. And it's just knowing that that is going to be an awesome trip, knowing that I am capable of sharing messages and, just talking about my life and not having to put myself into a specific box. I feel especially when I came onto the scene as a tarot reader for the public last year, I think a lot of people, saw me kind of doing that work and I felt a lot of personal pressure around being a specific type of reader. Like I needed to know everything. I needed to have like this knowledge of cards as far as like, what sign does this specific card like resonate with, or does this cycle, like what cycle are we in like astrologically, and like knowing all these things. Some of them I don't really care about, so it's like it's not true to me to do readings in that capacity. And the way that I read is very much like self-help, and just like as I'm looking at some of the choices that I have to make, like choosing to center my energy into this, choosing to make this a part of my day, also choosing to meditate before I did this, you know what I mean, to make sure that my energy was centered. Like these things are important. And before it felt like, those things were a part of the puzzle, but they weren't as centered as they needed to be. So really just like refocusing my habits, really refocusing 555, really changing the way that I am sharing myself with you all, but then also being able to share myself, So as you're going through this weekend, which direction are you taking as you move forward? So what are the messages for this weekend of October 2nd, 2020? What guidance do you have for this weekend, October 2nd, 2020? I think I'm going to do a 3-card spread, maybe 4, getting 4 cards. So we will see kind of like what comes up from here. I'm getting stop and shuffle like I like to do. Stop. Okay, first 3. And then we'll look at the bottom of the deck and we'll start there. So at the bottom of the deck, we still have the Chariot, okay? We still have the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. So this is just so that way you can get a little more visual there. And I'm also recording and putting it on this thing, so I need to be very careful because this shit could fall over. If somebody would like to buy me like a stand, so I can do like my fancy ass readings and shit like that, because your girl still has books stacked on top of, with the phone in the back to make sure that things don't fall over. But the Chariot, as we can see, it says this way and that way. So it's kind of like, which direction are you going to take? So what direction are you headed in your own personal life? From the Labyrinthios website, it says direction, control, and willpower. So this is a time of you remembering the direction that you are headed. Also knowing that you are in control of the direction that you choose to see yourself going. But that's a subconscious choice, and you have to truly like decide every single day, this is how I'm going to feel, and know that sometimes you may get pulled one way, sometimes you may get pulled the other way, but it is up to you to stop, to take stock, and to be reminded that you are in control as long as you have the willpower to know the direction that you are headed. It is a personal choice and a personal reminder for you to just be like, okay, like I'm checked in, like I'm here, like I am working on this, I'm going this direction. I know that I may not be there all the way yet, but I am taking steps to get there. So what are some of the steps that you have already established over the last couple of days, over the last couple of weeks, as far as like where you're going next? So for me, just, so I can hold myself accountable, I'm working on writing a lot more, and I've been working a lot on just like blogging, doing a lot more writing for public consumption, as you guys can see with like some of the Patreon posts and some of the weekend watchouts that I've written up in the past, and really wanted to share my voice. There's been a time for me, I'm a Black writer. Shout out to my best friend, Scotty. For this wonderful shirt that he provided me with. Please support him at Hey Scott on Instagram. But this is kind of like a weekend of me like needing to get into the process, in the throes of just like writing everything down, and knowing that sometimes the writing helps me to figure out which direction I need to head. It helps me to, sort things out in my brain. So that's kind of like what we have like on the subconscious. Of course, I like to read a little bit more into insights for the Chariot. But the upright meaning, it says, is all about overcoming challenges and gaining victory through maintaining control of your surroundings. The perfect control and confidence allows the charioteer to emerge victorious in any situation. The use of the strength and willpower are critical in ensuring that you have overcome the obstacles that lie in your path. Keyword: strength and willpower. So I want you to define what those words mean to you. Something is telling me to look up the word strength and just kind of like give you the Webster's definition. So the definition of strength, the quality or state of being strong. This is the capacity of an object or substance to withstand great force or pressure. So this is all about like knowing that there's going to be pressure that comes your way, right? And knowing that, you know, you are overcoming these obstacles and emerging victorious in these situations. But as long as you remember, like, pressure makes diamonds, right? So it's like these things that are coming up and they're like stressing you out, and you know, you want to put energy towards them. Like, even as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I want to move, but I'm also scared, not scared. I'm also apprehensive to start the moving process or start looking for places to move to, mainly because I'm like, do you have the money? Do you have the income that's consistent enough to, you know, be able to look for a new place? Your credit's not that great. Your credit has been trashed. You're still trying to, you know, pay off so many debts from like school that you haven't even been able to have the finances to do. But it's just like, are you allowing these things to stop you? Did that stop you from getting into this place? And it's just like, if you put your energy out there towards searching for these new things, and I've been, you know, mentally doing it, but I haven't been physically doing it, maybe just figuring out a little bit more direction for the next step, like the next larger step for you. It says the key message that this brings to you is you must maintain focus, confidence, and determination through a process that will be full of winding turns and detours. If you have a plan or project you seem not to be sure about, this shows you should pursue the plan with a structured and ordered approach. So this is all about you getting in line and getting things like, you know, pretty clear as far as like what it is that you are working on, and making sure that you have a plan. Making sure that you have an outline. So even when it comes to my writing process, like I have these ideas that are like coming to me, but then I find a little not necessarily nervousness, but I just like find myself slow to start when it comes to like actually doing the work. So if I have the outline, also if I put it into like this space of, you don't have to write every day. If you want to write 30 minutes, if you want to write 15 minutes, if you want to just write, you know, a little bit here and there, but putting myself onto a schedule and outlining something so that way I can start creating. There's also something else that I'm working on that I'm really excited to share with you guys very soon. But it's just like having an outline so that way I'm able to meet my goals. So what are some of the goals that you need to create for yourself? Even if it's just like a meditation routine, if it's a workout routine, this is something I'm working on too, and just like figuring out what do I like doing to keep me, you know, upbeat, and also working off some of these pounds and shit like that. But this is saying your boldness will ensure that you should achieve this goal. So be bold, be brave, be beautiful, baby. So our three cards that came up in our spread, we have first the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Seven of Wands, and we have the Eight of Cups in reverse. So as we look at each of these cards, the Knight of Pentacles to me is all about like being stable. So we are working on our stability over the course of this weekend, and knowing that it only comes from doing the work, and it only comes from like really having, I think of this as like budgeting. This is something that's actually been on my list for this weekend. So like budgeting, not just our finances, but budgeting our time, not taking on more things than we need to take on at this very moment, and also knowing where our energy is drawing us towards as we are going throughout the course of this weekend, as we are going throughout the course of this full moon cycle, and the lessons that it has to teach us. So this is a time of us really like honing in on what's true for us. Like we may feel pressure to do things for people. We may feel pressure to go to certain events or like, you know, show up to certain things that may not feel like they are in alignment with where we are at that very moment in time. And how truthful are you being to that? With this Seven of Wands, it's kind of like encouraging me to tell you, like, stop allowing yourself to be distracted by other people's like desires of what it is that you need to do. Like, who are you? Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? Like, speak to that. If you don't understand why you're feeling the way that you are, or why, you know, this person may be kind of like coming to you to like tell you what you should be doing, or like making you feel obligated, like question that. Like, what are your own personal obligations right now? And how can you ensure at this very moment that you are kind of just like sticking up for yourself, and knowing that that is the only way that you can advance towards your own personal desires. Like, there are some things that may serve as distractions over this course of this weekend when it comes to you and the direction that you're headed. So like, are you leaning into those distractions? Are they healthy distractions? Are they, you know, situations that are pulling you outside of where you need to be focused? and like really sitting with yourself and asking yourself that. And then with the Eight of Cups coming up in reverse, this makes me think about you just like needing to really tap into your own personal goals, and like being reminded that you have things that you are working on that others may not understand, but like it starts with you. Like, are you able to speak to yourself and know that the reason why you're doing something is important? Like, or are you getting distracted by what other people's desires for your furtherance is? So I get this kind of like as a story, like over the course of this weekend, like what are some of the big goals you have for this month? I wrote out all of my goals for the month of October, and I used to do that at the very beginning of this year. Like I had goals for every month that I would like write closer to like the very beginning of the month, and then during the summertime, I just kind of like fell off. So I got back into that. And I was just like, if I write these things out, one of the things that I've noticed is the power of writing is so magic. Like the power of writing is so magical. Excuse me. What I've noticed is that when I write intentions out, write ideas out, you know, write my foci, the things that I'm focused on out, they are able to be manifested a lot quicker. So getting back to that and knowing that if the energy is in my house, like if I've set it out there and I just let it kind of like exist and have it to like check back up on here and there, I'm more than likely going to achieve these goals. Not all of them all the way, but I'm more than likely going to be able to achieve, you know, the majority of them. And I also have them written out to be able to look back at, and it feels really good to check those things off. So how do you allow yourself to just like stand your ground for what it is that you need, and know that the direction and, you know, things that are pulling away from your emotional like sense of stability are not the things that you need to be putting into this weekend. Like think about how stuff makes you feel and be honest about how it's making you feel as you are moving forward, okay? So let's get into each of these cards. So the Knight of Pentacles, the key words for the Knight of Pentacles: efficiency, hard work, and responsibility, of course. So as Labyrinthio says, I could use the guide for this, but I really don't want to. I kind of want to just use like this website. I've been enjoying it as I like to read more and do my own research for myself. But it says this is about the daily tasks and the responsibilities that one has to go through to gain through a specific project. The Knight has the patience to accomplish all his given duties and is considered by others reliable and committed to this work. To see this card is an indication that there is a need to be trustworthy and reliable. So what is it that you're working on? Or what is it that you may be working on for like yourself or for somebody else that you need to be holding yourself reliable and like really holding yourself accountable over the course of this weekend? Like, is there something you know that you should be working on that has like been on your list? I kind of see this as like a job, you know, or just like a side project that you've really been wanting to put energy into, and you know that now is like the best time for you to go for it. Like, especially with the Aries full moon, and it's just like it's like new beginnings, like, you know, being at the very beginning of like the zodiacal cycle or what have you. I kind of like take this as like, all right, like what am I really putting myself out there for? What am I really taking the time to do at this moment in time? It says you're fully committed to your assignments and to make sure that you complete your work efficiently. You're absolutely loyal and do the best you can in order to make sure the job will be properly completed. Though your sense of duty is admirable, beware that it does not turn into perfectionism, which can manifest itself in every aspect of your life. This can also represent routine or the kind of general hard work that you go through every day. This also advises that you should continue doing exactly what you are doing. So good job on you. Good job, you. Good job, me. It says, sticking with the tried and true methods, he will accomplish everything that he has set out to do. Sometimes going with what has already been done is not necessarily bad. So don't break it. You know what I'm saying? If it's not broken, don't try to fix it. What has already worked as far as like the way that you operate. So for me, I know that I don't really do well with any type of work before 9 a.m. Okay, I'm not up before 9. Like, I'm still like getting myself mentally and like emotionally together to like respond to people's text messages. I know that I have a hard time like going straight into meditation like first thing in the morning, but if I do it between like the, you know, 10, we'll say like more like 11 to like 1 p.m. hour, those are the times of the day that I'm able to like really center and really just feel the blessing of centering myself. It feels like in the morning, like that would be the time that most people would. That doesn't work for me. And it's just like I'm able to operate so much better when I give myself like that time throughout the day. Also knowing how my work schedule for my 3D job, as I like to call it, is operating. But I do want to start infusing like more conversations and just like more opportunities to like work with others and get back to the essence of like the healing work and the spiritual work that I've been doing, and how can I incorporate that back into my life. I've also been thinking and kind of like processing the times of the day that I write best, and on what days do I write best. So really sitting with that, and knowing that I have been writing, and that's good enough. Now it's just doing it even better, okay? So some other keywords in love: it's loyal but stubborn lover, steady and secure relationship with career. It says focus and drive, steady, slow and steady work, but hard work. And then with finances, slow and steady financial growth, conservation, and frugality. So save your coins, pay attention to your coins over the course of this weekend, okay? Now let's get into the Seven of Wands a little bit more. I like to think of this as like standing your ground, attacking a challenge when it comes your way. So this is telling me that you're up for the task. Like you're ready to get the ball rolling. You're excited to kind of like see what the rest of this month is bringing. Keywords are perseverance, maybe a little defensive, and then protecting your territory, like standing up for yourself. So with the Seven of Wands, it indicates the fulfillment and satisfaction of the event. But this is different, the struggle that you need to go through in order to maintain your position rather to attain it. It's talking about the difficulties that you face in order to continue the success that you have. So I think about this as like thinking about some of the distractions or some of the things that stop you from accomplishing what it is that you want. Maybe you have a friend that always likes to invite you to go places, do things when you know that you feel like you need to be like centering into yourself. But because you see these text messages flying through your inbox and stuff like that, you always kind of like get pulled to their energy or pulled outside of you focusing on you. Shut your phone off. Put your phone on do not disturb. Put your phone in a different room. Like, how can you prepare yourself for some of the things that may come over the course of this weekend that will try to pull you out of your focus, pull you out of your center? It also says that this is about the difficulties we face to continue to have success. You should be ready for the competition to defend to you. You should be ready for the competition to you defend your title and to prove yourself. Others are going to desire the same results that you do, so you need to stay ahead of them, okay? So this is all about you knowing how you best, like, it's kind of like playing chess with your energy and with the weekend. How are you playing chess with just like being a couple steps ahead? You know how to be a couple steps ahead. You know how to channel your higher self into the space. You know how to be like, okay, like, so this is going on. So for me, I'm thinking about like, I had this like gathering I was supposed to go to, but I was feeling really apprehensive about going for two reasons. One, I already had something planned that day. I also know that there's going to be a lot of people that will probably be drinking during this time. And that's not something that I still feel comfortable being around, even though it sucks to admit that I would love to be social. I would love to be in those environments, but I still feel that itch. Like, I can't lie. I kind of like in, being sober from alcohol, and then being around parties and stuff like that, or just like events where people are drinking, and that's kind of like the main, aspect of people socializing. It's kind of like, putting a crackhead back in the crack house, or like being like, oh, I'm about to score, but I'm gonna take you with me. It's like, I feel like that trigger. It's like, you can only do but so much, but if I don't put myself in that environment, that means I'm saving myself, even if I feel that guilt of like not being there, or maybe that bit of FOMO. It's kind of like, I know that that's not going to serve me at this moment, so I need to stay away from it. So what are some of the things that you can kind of like preemptively strike and be able to channel and like siphon your energy in a different direction? This is telling you to stand your ground. No matter what is challenging your position, you will need to defend this position, take a stand against those who are aiming to take your spot. There are setbacks during this time, but you need to keep fighting for your beliefs and confront those that may threaten or oppose you and your beliefs. So this is all about saying and, speaking your truth and admitting what the fuck is going on without feeling fear around how it's going to be received. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't say what the fuck is going on, nobody else is going to be able to appreciate what is happening around, like happening with you, or like what's truly going on. But you have to be vulnerable enough to be able to bring that in as the sun is coming out a little bit more. And I state that. Last but not least, we have the Eight of Cups in reverse. So this is all about avoidance, fear of change, and fear of loss. So this is going kind of just like with what we've been talking about, like maybe a little scared to like make these moves, like taking other people's emotions into the space and like, not walking away. Like, you have to walk away for you. With the reversed Eight of Cups, This is all about being in a state of confusion about which path you are supposed to take. The confusion usually arises from not knowing what's best for you, and in the end, drifting in a sea of uncertainty is going to be the resulting effect. So, what is it that you've been questioning if it's good for you or not? You know the answer. Just answer the question and like sit with that and like own it. You know what I mean? Like, don't find fear in sharing the truth and being real about what's happening and where you need to be focused and where your own shortcomings are, because that takes boldness. That takes that takes balls. You know what I mean? Like, that takes balls in order to be like, I don't fuck with this, or you don't, you don't support me in the way that I need to be supported, or you are not helping me to achieve my highest good right now. This entity, this space is not doing what it needs to do for me in order for me to be at my best operation, me to be vibrating high. You know what I mean? It says, one is likely to find themselves being aimless and not having clear-cut goals in their life. And in the end, they always end up following wherever the ways of life take them. On the other hand, you may be aware of what you need to do. There is something in your life that has for a long time stopped bringing you joy or pleasure. And though your soul's desire is to fly away from it, you find yourself remaining. Let me say that one more time. There is something in your life that has for a long time stopped bringing you joy or pleasure. And though your soul's desire is to fly away from it, you find yourself remaining. The thought of leaving the security of what you have built fills you with fear. You are scared of both change and of losing something that is giving you great comfort. Most people usually find themselves stuck in limbo because they are stuck between two important decisions. For instance, one might want to change and work on themselves for the better, and at the same time, they may not be in a position to make the necessary sacrifices that are necessary in order to achieve. We must have courage to believe that we deserve better. That there are even more joyous things that are awaiting us if we take this journey. There are more joyous things awaiting us if we take this journey. So this is all about like knowing that we are working on ourselves, we are working on our craft, we are working on our dreams, our goals, our desires for the better. So how are you having courage to choose, the path that may not be commonly taken? How are you giving yourself an opportunity to kind of like dedicate this to yourself? And how are you giving yourself this time over the weekend to plan out what it is that doesn't need to be like taken on, like standing your ground and knowing that that is going to be of best service to you. This is all part of the direction that you're supposed to take. Make sure that you are choosing yourself over this weekend, okay? So that is our reading from the cards. I want to go into the Moonology deck to see kind of like what additional messages we have, what advice we have as we transited through this full moon in Aries. We know that this month we have 2 full moons that are happening. We have one happening on Halloween. I hope that you guys have been feeling like the fire, your desire throughout the course of this weekend. But let's see what we got. And thank you guys for listening to me. If you're watching this, this means that you are a special subscriber on Patreon, because this is a Patreon exclusive, okay? So yeah. What is our message over the course of this weekend? Okay. So I don't know what you are holding on to. Well, this should just give you a little, like, breathe and receive. Nothing will come of the situation. So whatever you are kind of like worried, like, oh, well, they're going to think, or, oh, they're going to feel, like nothing's going to come from it. Doesn't have any purpose to serve you. You can go ahead and let it go. Release it. Do the work that you need to around releasing it, or trying to like curtail to somebody else's emotions, like curtail to your own. Be authentic and be honest about where you are. And this is represented in the void of course moon. So let's get into a couple additional meanings. It says the chances of something are diminishing. Something better may be around the corner. Believe that you will get what you need. Surrender to the divine. Take time out, meditate, and contemplate. So this is the time for you to just be. Just be, and really listen to like how you're feeling, how your body responds, how you like emotionally and mentally respond to certain things throughout the course of this weekend. And I want you to take into account that you're trusting in your highest good. Like, you trust yourself more than you ever have before. You know you better than you ever have before. You've gone through this. You've dealt with this. You've experienced this. And you also know what the result has been in the past. So this is an opportunity for you to be like, done, not dealing with it, not having it, not interested, over it. It's a done China bun, like, and just let it go. So that's really nice for me to kind of like know as well. It's just like, this doesn't serve you. So put your energy towards something that is going to serve you throughout the course of this weekend. They said no more cards from here. Okay, great. So I want to get a little bit deeper and add the Sacred Symbols Oracle deck by Marcella Kroll. Nothing will come of this situation. What is this in reference to? How do we calm ourselves? What is this in reference to? How do we calm ourselves this weekend? A little additional. Okay, knowledge. So this is all about your inner knowing. I feel like this card has come out before in a reading that I've done over the last couple of months, the last month or so. So this is all about like, you have the information that you need. You already know what you need to. You're already super aware. You're hyper aware in a way that you've never been aware before. So you have the knowledge that this situation is going to like not really do the best for you. So just like let it go and be honest about it. And this is a growth period. And what is that? Growth, okay? So this is a growth cycle. So you're in the midst of a growth cycle. This is some really uncomfortable shit. This is some really fucking uncomfortable shit, y'all. But guess what? It's gonna be okay. You're gonna make it. It's all gonna be fine, okay? This is just your reminder. We in this together, all right? Now I want to go to the Shamanic Medicine deck, and this is where I'm going to end on today. So this will give you a quick little action to kind of like take advantage of over the course of this weekend. This is my favorite deck by far, because I like to think of myself as a shaman, in some sense, like a budding shaman, even though I'm still learning not the concept, but just like in what context does that mean for me? But I think of myself as kind of just like a budding healer, or a healer that's kind of like growing into their next stage of healing. And I know that that's going to take some work too, and also some sacrifice, and also some, you know, just getting more into a specific groove, but my own groove, instead of trying to like liken it to somebody else's idea of what I should be doing. But let's see what we need to be focused on this weekend. What is an action that we could kind of like be taking? Okay. Bottom of the deck. Okay. Medicine shield. So what are you working on as far as your protection is concerned? So when I think of medicine shield, I think of this as like calling in your armor, calling in your protection. Before you kind of like start your day, I like to call on God in the morning, call on my angels, call on my ancestors, call on my spirit guides, call on, you know, all of the different like gods and, you know, deities that may be walking around this world, because like they exist in this realm. So I like to give them their space and give them their place too. But like, how do you call in protection? How do you affirm protection for you over the course of this weekend? Medicine shield. It says, shield yourself from a harsh situation. Another's foul mouth is draining your energy. Step up your psychic protection. Visualize a circle of bright white light around you when others attempt to ridicule or speak down to you. So this is all about like, I don't know, you could have a little situation with a friend this weekend, or somebody that, you know, thought really saw you in a certain way, and then you realize that they don't. And it's just like, do you have to play into that? This is not a time to play into somebody else's bullshit. This is a time for you to be like honest about where you are and how you stood your ground, and how you're proud of who you are and how far you've come. How proud you are of who you are and how far you've come. You know what I mean? Like, this is a time for you to affirm that shit for you. Because if you don't affirm it for you first, nobody's going to affirm it for you. You dig? So this is an opportunity for you to just like really call that energy and step up your psychic protection. What does that mean to me? I think of that as like meditation, and just calling in protection, and just being like, I'm setting this out, you know, putting this energy out there, this intention out there, so that way no matter where I go, I'm protected, I'm covered. I think of that as like really, I love to wear, you know, y'all know I got bracelets and shit like that on. Those are my physical representations of protection, of spiritual protection. So what are some of the things that you can call into your space for that? It says, medicine shield asks you, look at how far you've come. Traditionally, a medicine shield represents its owner's journey. Its imagery symbolizes inner strength, talents, totem animals, and the owner's place within the tribe. These very personal shields hold medicine in their art, in ritual, and in lessons learned. If you were able to make your own medicine shield, what would you add to it to tell your story? So I want you to determine, if you were able to make your own medicine shield, maybe that's an art project you do this weekend, What would you put on it to tell your story? What are some of the things that have protected you in the past? What are some of the, things that you have learned, some of the mental capacities or some of the modes of operation that have allowed you to protect yourself over the weekend, or over in the past? How can you call those things back in and really stamp them over the course of this weekend? It says this also is bringing protection against psychic attack and other lower or negative energy forms. Keep your guard when medicine shield appears. There's nothing to fear, but there are sensible precautions to put in place as you walk between the worlds. It is good practice to call in protection every day, whether you are consciously working with the spirit world or not. Call upon medicine shield now and rest within the safeguard of his strong and loyal protection. So something is saying like, you are capable, Gary DeAndre, of like calling in protection for all of us. So let's do this as a team. So if you are interested in receiving this with me, or just like calling in that protection right now, as I do like a quick little, like Reiki and send it to you guys, you can go ahead and state, that you are willing to receive just out loud. So that way you are willing to receive the energy that I'm sending you. But if you want to cut the video off here, you can. But you are centering yourself and finding the flow of your breath. And if you are willing to receive this energy from me, as far as calling in protection, I just ask that you say, I receive this energy of protection from Gary, putting your hands out in cup formation. And I'm calling in the energy of protection for us as a collective, as a community. And feeling the energy rise from underneath you and it's coming up to your crown. Calling in the energy of protection from our spiritual guides, our ancestors that walk with us, known and unknown, those that are in protection of us at this very moment in time. Thank you in advance. Thank you in advance for the assistance. Calling in the protection as it goes from our crown all the way to the soles of our feet. Making sure that you're breathing. Good job. This is surrounding you in a circle of bright white light. Noticing how you feel. And taking your hands and putting them onto your heart chakra in the center of your chest. And allowing that energy to center through you, spiral into your spirit. This is a period of growth, a period of upping our protection as a team, as a community, and allowing ourselves to feel that center. And when you feel the energy finish going into your chest that you've been able to conjure up around you, you're going to rub your hands together and clap 3 times. I hope that you guys feel that little bit of protection, calling your protection in, knowing that you are protected, you are safe as you go throughout this weekend. Your dreams, your endeavors, your desires are safe. You are taken care of. I hope that you found this helpful for you. Pass this information on to somebody. Maybe be like, hey, I heard my nigga Gary talking about this shit that's going on this weekend. Talking about all of the things that we need to prepare for, plan for, and know that we have done a lot of work around establishing how far we've come. And I'm proud of you. Be reminded that I'm always, watching. I'm proud of you, and thank you guys for your support. Thank you for loving on me. Thank you for sharing, your love and your protection with me as well. And know that you are, I'm full of gratitude for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you found this helpful in the comments, or, shout me out on Patreon, what have you, send me an email, whatever works for you. But I'm gonna cut it here. Have a blessed rest of your weekend, and we will check in again soon. Peace.